potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
Two big democracies are at war, and that too over one man, Hardeep Singh Nijjar. It makes you wonder, what was so special about him? Why did Trudeau pick a fight over his death? First, let's look at his life. Nijjar was born in 1977 in India's Punjab state. He grew up during the period of Khalistani militancy. Chances are that also influenced him. In 1997, Nijjar moved to Canada. He arrived in the country using a fake passport. His plan was to plead for asylum. So Nijjar told authorities that he had been tortured by Indian police, that his family had been arrested. But no one seems to have bought that argument, because in 1998, his request was rejected. He then tried a different strategy. He faked a marriage with a Canadian woman to get citizenship. Again, no luck. Authorities saw through the plan. Plus, the woman herself had just arrived in 1997. Nijjar finally became a Canadian citizen in 2007. It is not clear why his application was accepted. But one thing is clear, many red flags were ignored. Nijjar ended up settling in British Columbia in Canada. That's where he grew into a top Khalistani leader. Initially, he was linked to the Babbar Khalsa International, which is a Khalistani terrorist group. Later on, he started leading the KTF, the Khalistan Tiger Force. And what did he do in this role? In public, he rallied support for Khalistan. He even organized referendums among Sikhs abroad. But away from the public eye, he was up to more sinister stuff. He would recruit vulnerable Sikh youth. He would train them in Canada and then dispatch them to Punjab in India. Reports say that he also visited Pakistan in the last decade, perhaps took help from the ISI, the Pakistani agency. Nijjar's actions alerted the Indian security agencies. In 2007, he was linked to a bombing in Punjab. He was also accused in the assassination of Sikh politicians in India. Put together, he was wanted in dozens of cases. So in the year 2014, Interpol stepped in. They issued a red corner notice for Hardeep Singh Nijjar. It's basically an order to locate and arrest a fugitive. But Canada did not do that. Instead, they put him on a no-fly list. Now, Justin Trudeau was not in power during most of this time. He became Prime Minister only in 2015, at which point the relationship was quite stable. Some disputes did exist over the Khalistan issue, but overall things looked good between India and Canada. Before Trudeau took charge, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had travelled to Canada. New Delhi called it a highly productive trip. But after that, things went downhill. The first red flag was in 2018. Trudeau travelled to India for an official trip. It turned out to be a spectacle. You may remember his awful costumes and over-the-top dances. He was trolled brutally on social media. He was dubbed as fake and annoying. In that same trip, Trudeau made another mistake. He invited a convicted Khalistani terrorist to his reception. After a lot of backlash, the invite was withdrawn, but the damage had been done. Now, here's the thing. Trudeau probably was not in charge of the guest list. Prime ministers don't do that. They do not make a guest list for a dinner. But someone on his team thought it was a good idea. Either they did not know or they did not care, which sums up Justin Trudeau's policy to date. Things got worse after the 2021 election. His party lost its majority in parliament, so Trudeau needed a coalition to stay in power. Enter his Khalistani buddy, Jagmeet Singh of the New Democratic Party. Trudeau used the NDP, the New Democratic Party, to remain Prime Minister. In return, he pushed some of Jagmeet's policies. Maybe Khalistan was part of that deal. Now, all these events make one thing quite clear. Whether it's his antics in India, or the invite to a Khalistani terrorist, or his alliance with the NDP, Trudeau has a pretty poor understanding of India. The same goes for people on his staff and his allies. And that's one reason for his Khalistani push. Secondly, it's vote bank politics. Canada's voting patterns have changed in the last decade. In the 2000s, the winning party would have a clear majority, but that does not happen anymore. In 2019, only 1% votes separated the two main political parties. In 2021, after the snap poll, again 1%. As voting margins tightened, Trudeau looked to seek voters. Their numbers had surged during the same period, from 0.9% of the population in 2001 to 2.1% in 2021, the Sikh population in Canada. So Justin Trudeau implemented a number of appeasement measures, even appointed Sikhs to top cabinet posts. In that context, the Nijjar murder was a perfect opportunity for him. He could pitch himself as the defender of Canadians. At the same time, he could court the Khalistani voters. So two birds with one stone. Actually three if you think about it. Canadian intelligence reports had accused China of election meddling. That too in Trudeau's favor. Beijing thought the opposition was too hawkish. So they tried to get Trudeau re-elected. Have you heard the Prime Minister talk about that? Forget Trudeau. Have you heard any Canadian politician talk about that? Why would they? The Nijjar case became an international scandal, so China's meddling became a footnote. The truth is, only Trudeau can explain why he launched this crusade. All we know is that he had reasons to do it, from ignorance to vote bank to distraction. Right now, he's losing horribly in the polls, opinion polls. He's also facing some internal rebellion. Around 20 of his party MPs are said to have signed a letter. They're asking Justin Trudeau to step aside. So Trudeau is creating distractions to buy time. In the process, he's running this bilateral relationship to the ground.
Firstpost decodes the U.S. election, explains how America chooses its president, your primer on the race to the White House, everything you need to know about how America votes and its global implications. U.S. Election Explained, every Monday and Thursday only on Firstpost.